Hi guys, welcome back to my channel The Book Capri, and I love this time of the month where I talk about the books I have read in previous month. March felt like a very long month for me, and I read 6 books, 5 from my physical TBR. As you can see, these are the books, 5 books I read in March from my physical TBR, and I read one audiobook. So in total, I read 6 books, and it was a great reading month for me. I read lot of good books. I found 5 stars. So we'll talk about everything in this video. So keeping the intro very short, let's just dive into this video. As I said before, I read good books in March, and the Katabasis is one of them. This is my 5 star book, guys. I don't know whatever this book did to my mind. I don't know, guys. I can't even express you how I feel about this book even after finish reading this book, because this is genius, guys. I totally agree. If you are a OG RF Kuang reader, if you have read all of our books, or at least the Popular and the Babel, and you find this book is slightly disappointing, you could be right. But I don't know, right? I have never read her books except this one, and this was my first book by this author, and it is freaking genius, guys. I'm telling you guys, just look at the annotations. I never do this much of annotation in a single book. And yeah, this is just out of the world. It is outlandish. I don't know the perfect word to describe this book. And it was such a thick book, by the way. It has 441 pages. And I felt like I almost read this book in the entire month. I was reading and processing and taking my sweet time to get through of this book. This is such a great experience for me. I have never read anything like this. Plus, I always wanted to try a dark academia book, and I'm so happy that this was my first ever dark academia book. 5 star, guys. I told you the ratings? I don't know, but yeah, this is my 5 star, and I can't tell you how happy I am to receive this book as a giveaway and read this book, because the whole experience was amazing. And here comes another 5 star, that is My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. It was a split second decision, guys. I was watching Achal Rani's video, and she mentioned in that video that she recently read this book and she instantly gave 5 star. And I trust blindly to her recommendation videos. So yeah, I decided to buy this book, and this is the 4th book by this author, by the way. And let me tell you guys, there was a time everyone was reading this book and I was having FOMO. I wanted to read this book, and that could be a contributing fact for me to buy this book, except for Achal Rani's recommendation. And let me tell you, the books I have read by this author before, like Rock Paper Scissors and His and Hers, they are a bit slow at first because they are slow burn thrillers. But this one is very different. It starts from the very first chapter. The world building is there from the very first chapter, and usually in her books, you will find that twist. The last in that last 50 pages, and then after that everything makes sense and the ending comes after. But in this book, there are so many twists, at least 5 or 6, and everything makes sense and everything is so connected. So if you get the first twist and then you read the second one, you will find a connection between those two, and so on. This goes like this, and the ending. And when I got to know about the culprit and the real murderer, I was shocked because I didn't see that coming. There was no way I would have guessed something like that. I don't know, guys. You have to read this book. So this is a story about a woman, Eden Fox. When she came out from her jogging, she found out that her house is locked and she couldn't get in. And she calls for her husband, but some woman opened the door, and she almost looks like her but not the same. Then her husband comes down, and she started asking, who is this woman? And he was like, who are you? So she's like, I am your wife, you are my husband. And he was like, wait, I don't even know you, and this woman is my wife. So yeah, and that is the plot, beginning of the plot of this book. And trust me, this book is so well crafted. As you read chapter by chapter, you will understand what is happening in this book. And the woman Eden Fox, she claims to be his wife, but surprisingly no one knows the town where she shifted. Let me tell you, Alice Finney has a fixation about this isolated islands or isolated place where their population is very less. So there is the same case with this book, and no one knows her, obviously, and she has no one to prove her identity, even for the police. So yeah, that's how this book starts, and this is freaking amazing, guys. 5 star, I told you before, that's why I rated this book 5 star. And yeah, it was such a fun read. I loved every bit of it. Also, I listened to a audiobook, that is That's Not My Name by Megan Lally, and it was such a fun read. It was rather simple, and I rated it 4 star. And I'm quite surprised because I rated this book very high, because as I said, it is very simple and very one dynamic. You kind of know what is going to happen at the last, but still it is very gripping, and the way it has been written, or I was listening to an audiobook, so obviously I felt it very endearing to listen to. So yeah, this book is very simple, and something happened to the main character, and I think I don't want to give you much about this book, because this is a small book. This is a short book, and also the less you know about a book before going into that book, the more you enjoy yourself. But the one thing I will tell you, this is a very fast paced and easy to get into book. So if you are in a reading slump, please go and read this book. It was such a good twist. The ending twist is good, and the whole story, the after reading this book or after finishing this book, when you think about the whole story, it is kind of a good book. I believe this would look good even more as a movie. So yeah, that's what I think about this book, and it is kind of underrated. So yeah, please give it a try. And next, I read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and I finally read this book, guys. I rated this book 4.25, although I wanted to rate 4.5, but I didn't give 4.5 ratings to this book because I didn't feel like. Uh, there are few reasons. First, I think the priority is given to the romance rather than fantasy. Plus, this is also based on trials, and I kind of read so many trials. So yeah, I was expecting a little bit more or a little bit different. And this book has love triangle, and I hate to read love triangle. I think love triangles doesn't end up well, and the characters in this book are really good characters. So yeah, this breaks my heart sometimes to read sorry, to read love triangle between them. But yeah, it was good read. I enjoyed it very much. And although the romance is main point of this book, there are so many plot, there are so much plot. And i I'm a sucker for a good plot, romantasy or fantasy books. But yeah, this book has both, and I have less complaints rather than those three or two maybe. So yeah, I enjoyed it. And one thing I really liked about this book, that is it is very well written. Even for a romantasy, I thought it would be a little bit hard to get into, but no, it was really good. I read like in 2 or 3 days, and it is a nearly 500 pages book. So yeah, I really had great time reading this one. And the remaining two books are also my 5 star, and one is Forest of Enchantments by Chitra Banaji Divakorini, and you guys don't need any introduction for this book. It is a retelling of Ramayana through Sita's perspective. I really enjoyed reading this book. I get to know a lot of things about the epics, and through Sita's point of view, it was a little different and makes sense totally. And I really enjoyed this book, and I'm so happy because my last experience with this author was really, really bad. I told you before, I do not like creative liberties in that book, but this one is totally worth the hype. It was such a uh, powerful or impactful read for me. So yeah, this is also a 5 star read. And lastly, but not the least, The Full Moon Coffee Shop by, I better not pronounce the author's name. So yeah, this is a Japanese fiction, and see the annotation, guys. I really outdone myself. It is such a short book, and just look at the annotations. I wanted to highlight every part of this book. It was such a, because the quotes are really interesting, and this is very feel good book. This also has 4 or 5 characters, so they can see this full moon coffee shop, because this is a magical coffee shop, so it doesn't appears to everyone, because yeah, that is the main plot. And the people who can see this coffee shop are kind of related to each other, also to the coffee shop, because they have a history. You will get to know before, after you read this book. So yeah, and also I love reading Japanese fiction, so it's not a surprise that I gave this book 5 star. So I mean, yeah, I do that sometime. I do read books because I love that genre, not because of the book. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, that's my thing. So that is all for today's, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this wrap up video, and do let me know how many books you read in this month and what is your favorites of this month. And I'll see you in my next video. Till then, take care of yourself and stay safe.